Okay, we're gonna do another timer demonstration and I wanna show you, I'm gonna run it first. If you watched my first one, I told you that this timer will just keep on going forever and forever and it doesn't stop. You can see it has continued to go in the, who knows, last 1800 seconds. All right. So let's go ahead and I want to hide this. So we're going to hide all of that. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. I'm going to disconnect this. I just want this blue, I don't want to erase it, but I want it all to go away and not be used in my code. So I just disconnect everything and hide it. We're going to go over here to the clock, and you can't see the clock right now, but let's go ahead and show it. And I want to show you the costumes. What I essentially did was I moved the clock. I made the clock by making a circle and just changing the lines for the hands. So it'll, what I want it to do is every second, I want it to change to a new costume and make that sound. And then we'll do the same ring at the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is show the costume. And then we're going to do a couple different ways to do this. Now, another thing that I did that's different is that I picked a sound. I think it's called TikTok. Let's find out. TikTok. I don't remember. Here we go. Clock ticking. Was that it? Yeah. So I brought in this sound clock ticking, and then I shortened it to make this sound for my tick. And that one's, it's a little similar, but it's also a different part of it. How did I do that? So I went to the sound and I picked out the part. Let's say I want to go to here and I want to delete all of that. And then let's say I want to go to here and delete all of that. And here's the sound. That's it. And then I named one of them tick and I named one of them talk. So that is how I made my tick and talk sounds. And they are slightly different. You can see by the sound wave, they sound pretty similar. Anyway, that's how I did that. And if you think about it, what I'm going to do, because I want my tick and my talk sound to both happen, I'm going to repeat 5 times. And what I'm going to do is start my, whoops, I keep dragging the background instead of the block. I'm going to start with the tick sound and wait 1 second. Then I'm going to change to the next costume because we're starting with this yellow clock, which is here. But then we're going to go to yellow clock 2, yellow clock 3, yellow clock 4, and so on. So I'm just going to do the next costume. I'm going to make that talk sound again. I'm going to wait another second and go to the next costume. So because I have 2 wait 1 seconds inside my loop, that's 2 seconds inside each loop. So times 5 would make my 10-second alarm. Does that make sense? And let's see, I do not have the clapping in here. Let's see. Let's just add it for simplicity's sake right now. And we'll play the sound clapping until done, and then we'll stop it. So we're just going to make it pretty simple right now and start with this. Let's see. And I can hide this timer. We're not using it at all, so let's just get that out of the way. All right, let's watch the clock. So it went around and it changed costumes each time. I almost wonder what would happen if I did this. I'd move that next costume to the beginning instead of the end. much difference. It looks like I need another costume. But anyway, that part worked. But then I wanted to do something cool where I added a bell. And so I have a bell sprite over here. My bell, I changed it by rotating it. So I grabbed it with the mouse tool, right? And I used this to rotate it. So I've got bell 1 and bell 2, and if it goes back and forth, it's going to look like it's ringing. So what I do is I'm going to have it hide until the timer is done. I'm going to broadcast timer done. Then it's going to show, and let's see what the bell does. Okay, so I've got it 6 times making its bell sound. Sorry, let's go back here. And let's add to my code for the clock that after it's done clapping, it will broadcast timer done. It will hide the clock and stop this script, not stop all, stop this script. Then it's going to pass it off to the bell. So let's take a look. In fact, I'm going to do a couple of things just while I'm here. I'm going to take that clapping sound out because I just don't need it with the bell. That kind of serves that purpose. The other thing I want to do is add another costume. I feel like it's a costume short. So I'm going to add it here. I'm going to duplicate this one and we'll leave that. All right, now I want to make this one, and I'm going to click this mouse pointer with the dot so that I can just click on this dot and move it up here. So we're starting here. All right, so this will be yellow clock, and then next costume, next costume. In fact, I don't even love that. So we're going to move this one back a little bit. So it's going to go from here to here to here. All right, I know it's not like a literal second, but it's just the movement that we're getting. Okay, take, I don't know what take this is. Whatever take it is, let's try it. It still feels like it's skipping a costume change pretty fast. I wonder if I want this next costume to be at the end, which I think is where I had it before. Anyway, that code works. And then remember I showed you a second way to do it where we used a variable so that you could actually see the variable. We are doing that here. And let me disconnect this and we'll try it the other way. So now we've got no tick-tock sound, but you can see the variable timer and it's counting to 10. But we're also not changing the costumes, right? You didn't see the clock hand move. So what if I wanted to see the timer count and watch the clock hand moves? And that's what I wanted to show you. This is what I would do to make that happen. I would reconnect this code where we are not using the variable, but then I'm going to add the variable to it. So let's show the variable timer and let's set it to 0. Remember, blue timer was my other code I showed you in a previous video. So set timer to 0, show the variable timer, and then every time it waits a second, we're going to change the timer by 1. And change the timer by 1. Let's try that. So does that make sense? So what we're going to do is set the timer to 0, show it, and then everything's the same as before, except now we're going to change the timer by 1, not set to, change by, so it will add. Let's take a look. 1. Ooh, it's moving. So now we've got the movement of the costumes for the clock. We've got the visual of the timer, and we broadcast and we have our bell going. So that's a more advanced way to kind of use a timer in your code. I hope that helps you and that you can be creative and have fun when using a timer with your code. Thanks for watching. This is Sherry Niedermeyer with Classroom Antics. Happy coding.